Hello, everybody. I'm just about ready to get started. Sorry, Charlie, that you're working at this hour. Let's move over to the Let's Chat. As most streams seem to start nowadays, to no one's surprise, Stream Elements is down again. But at least we got the bot back, sort of. Not the one we normally use, but at least the commands should work. If you want to use them later, they should be working. But let's talk about the game itself. So this was a game I think I had sat on for several years. I guess to give you even more context for people that don't know me outside of the stream, I do play things other than RPGs from time to time. So originally I was going to showcase an entirely different game on stream of the genre, and I just never got around to it. I think eventually I do want to come back to it. I want to gauge the interest that people have in it before I commit to like a campaign, quote unquote. So I figured I'd try something a little different. So the intent of the stream is to showcase at least the early parts of the game, talk about things I figured out, talk about things I'm not sure about, and hopefully people will be able to gauge whether or not A, they like the game, B, if they want to see more, and C, in general, if it inspires them to go out and potentially play it or share things that they've done in the game itself. So I guess I will give context for people even first time joining us. I've probably played this game for a total of 40-ish hours. I don't consider myself like super good or anything at it, but I think there are a lot of interesting mechanics in it. And for people not aware, there is a lot of jank in this game. Now, jank doesn't necessarily make a game bad. In fact, sometimes it could be funny to see the jank. But this is definitely one of those games that's a bit more brutal to get into without consulting a guide, because I do think there are some very obtuse things that like, oh, I wish I knew this before X or Y. And yeah, so I ended up restarting a couple characters based off of things I found out experimenting. And I think the intent for this particular showcase is just start a new game. Don't showcase late game stuff. Enjoy it for what it is. Character creator, basic plot, everything. And we'll go through my thoughts of the process. Depending on if people are here, we might hold off on the character creation, because I do want to have people to have some say in it. I will say it's kind of nice that mid-game, I can just change my name and appearance at any time. So as more people trickle in, perhaps we'll revisit it. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go through the character creation process step by step. I'll talk about things I know, things I'm not sure about, and then we'll introduce you to the game. But essentially, we will be generating a lord or potential lord that will enter this feudal society with no allegiances, no kingdom, no nothing to really protect us, not even troops at our side. And our goal is to do whatever we want. It's basically a sandbox game. We could recruit troops based off of our combination of level and stats in order to wage war with other villages or castles or kingdoms. And we can either choose to take place in first or third person battles where we battle alongside our troops, or we could just have our troops do all the work for us. Get it stick and get going for sure. I think that now at least Calvisham is here. I think it's time to jump into the game proper. So let me know, Calvisham, if anything needs to be adjusted. I'm breaking out an old layout I have not used in a while. Let me open the game, and you should see something in just a moment. There we go. So we are playing specifically the Warband expansion. From what I've read, I have not verified further whether this is true or not, but I've heard / seen things that the game is meant to be modded. Personally, I fully agree. I think there are things that are still missing even in the expansion, and there are things in the expansion I was surprised were not part of the core game. We'll talk about those as we get through those kinds of things. Let's start a brand new game. We could play the tutorial. The tutorial is wailing on your nearest person. I guess I could showcase it very briefly. You know, you get a brief thing where you can just walk around the training field and it'll teach you to move around. We're not going to do that. Trust me, if you want to, we will talk about the controls as we go play through the game. But just be aware there's a separate tutorial for people that are looking to go off on their own. We will not be going through that. There is multiplayer. I will not be playing multiplayer. I think it's just versus battles, which doesn't interest me as much. If there was like a co-op campaign, which who knows, maybe one of the mods has it, I would be all over that. I would be all over that. let's go ahead and start a new game. Wounded party members will heal faster while... And I couldn't read the hint. So that's downside number 1. There are some useful game tips, but if your computer is too good, you can't read them. So I think it was trying to tell me that if I rest in like a building versus out in the wild, I heal faster. I'm going to assume that is what it just told me. But anyway, let's go through the wall of text. Welcome, adventurer, to Mountain Blade Warband. Before beginning the game, you must create your character. Remember that in traditional medieval society depicted in the game, war and politics are usually dominated by male members of nobility. That does not, however, mean that you should not choose to play a female character, or one who's not of noble birth. Male nobles may have a somewhat easier start, but women and commoners can attain all the same goals. In fact, they have a much more interesting, if more challenging, early game. That is a warning to the game guide. If you want to have things easy, pick noble background, get on your way. I don't think we'll do that. Choose your character's gender. I guess they could make another male character. I was playing as a female off stream. Calvisham actually witnessed a little bit of that gameplay. But let's make a male character for now. So it's going to give us a set of background things that we can select from. I believe it's our father, our early life, what we're doing now. All of these tie into the stats and skills you get with your character. So I believe everybody, no matter what you choose, will start with leadership and riding. Leadership being something that reduces the cost of having troops and lets you have more. Riding, obviously, being horse riding, specifically, because it's medieval times. Or slash the feudal era. So I guess we could talk a little bit from experience. I did try each of these. So the noble gives us additional riding capability and leadership. It also gives us proficiency with certain weapons. I believe it was one-handed and polearms. And each of these in general, as an example, will give us different starting equipment. Now, if we want an easy start, the game recommends the impoverished noble. I don't know if I want to do that, to be honest. I think what I'm going to do instead... I think so far, of the ones that I've tried, I liked the Steppe Nomad. This one basically pumps up your riding ability, so you can... We'll see in a little bit, but essentially there are caps you could get for your skills. This allows you to get skills you normally wouldn't be able to use. Even though your stats are too low, it still gives them to you anyway. So I think we'll choose the Steppe Noble, or Nomad, excuse me. It says, you were a child of the steppe, born to the tribe of wandering nomads who lived in great camps throughout the arid grasslands. Like the other tribesmen, your family revered horses above almost everything else. And they taught you how to ride almost before you learned how to walk. You started to learn about the world almost as soon as you could walk and talk. You spend your early life as ... Now here is one of my big disappointments from this game, and I believe there are mods to fix this, and I believe there are expansions to fix this. If you choose the craftsman for people that are looking in for crafting and things like that, there isn't really like a crafting mechanic in this game at all. I feel like that's definitely a big miss. I don't think it's like quote-unquote required for the game to be good, but at the same time, why give me the option to choose a craftsman's apprentice if I can't craft anything? Like, I find that very misleading as a new player. Be real honest with you and real blunt with you. I think that was kind of a faux pas, as it were, to put that in the game and then not let you do anything. Instead, I think it gives you engineering and trade, none of which are really that good. We can have somebody else learn engineering, potentially. So I think what I want to do from this standpoint... Urchin is kind of fun because it gives us additional looting, so we get more items in the early game, from what I recall. We could also potentially do the assistant, who instead of getting engineer and trade, I get inventory management and trade, which is kind of a nice combo. It also starts us with more intelligence, as does the urchin. I think I'm going to do another intelligence-based character. So the only ones that raise intelligence, from what I recall from playing this earlier, are the apprentice, the assistant, and the urchin. I don't think these are... I guess I could just choose assistant for now. I guess there's no downside to it. I don't want to overthink this. This is just very simple starting stats. So I'm going to try to get through it the best that I can. So I think based off of this information, chat, I think I'm going to go with maybe a shop assistant. I want to get my intelligence as high as possible because I'm going to tell you how I beat the game, quote unquote, where essentially I became immortal. And I just need anything that raises intelligence. And since of those 3 choices, I would rather have more inventory space at the end of the day. So I'm going to choose a shop assistant. As a boy growing out of childhood, you apprentice to a wealthy merchant, picking up the trade over years of working shops and driving caravans. This also means before I get other companions, I could get stuff cheaper, so I'm also okay with that. Eventually, we'll get companions that do it, so whatever. You soon become adept at the art of buying low, selling high, and leaving the customer thinking they got the better deal. Then as a young adult, life changed, as it always does. You became ... So the Squire is a perfect example of somebody wanting to go melee. It gives you things like weapon mastery, power strikes, strength, agility, all good things to have in combat. Spoilers, we don't want that. Just we have no interest in it whatsoever. Instead, the one that I'm potentially thinking of, if I want my riding score to be absolutely bonkers broken, I think I will choose a goods peddler. Another potentially good choice for us, because it gives us higher int, and therefore we can max our skills faster, is the student. So I'll just explain it now, but essentially for every 3 in a stat I have, you can add 1 skill point to the associated skill. So for example, trading is a skill based on int. If I have 3 int, the highest I can raise it is 1. If I have int of 6, the highest I can raise it is 2. So potentially getting an early max does save me some time. The differences between them is the student learns things like Weapon Master, which is also pretty good. Wound Treatment +1, Surgery, and Persuasion, all very useful abilities. The Peddler gets Riding, Pathfinding, Inventory Management, and Trade, all very solid. The Smith, sadly, also cannot craft anything, and it makes me very salty that the character can't do it. So I'm leaning potentially towards either the Peddler or the Student. So we could get our riding score absolutely bonkers broken. So I will not have a very high agility score, but I will be able to basically use some of the best horses in the game if I choose to go the peddler. Which, honestly, I'm kind of thinking about that. Arguably, I could go the student just for higher caps and early persuasion. I do think persuasion is useful, but... tough choices. I guess between those choices, Calvisham, which would you rather us be, a student or a peddler? Basically, smarter person or person that'll be faster on traveling the overworld? I think our goal is to get riding up to 4 no matter what, but if we don't take this, I don't think we have it, because we get +1, +2. The other thing we give us riding, I don't remember. No. So we could go straight up to 4 riding. Kind of leaning towards peddler. Be a smart dude. Okay, we'll take Calvisham's advice. Let's go smart. Let's go book smart. Though the distinction felt sudden to you, somewhere along the way you had become a man, and the whole world seemed to change around you. You found yourself as a student in the university of one of the great cities, where you studied theology, philosophy, and medicine. Well, we sure wasted our time. Well, I guess not that last part. But not all of your lessons were learned in the lecture halls. May or may not have joined in with your fellows as they roamed the alleys in search of wine, women, and a good fight. However, you were able to observe how a broken jaw is set. An angry townsman could be persuaded to set down his club and accept cash compensation for the destruction of his shop. So, it doesn't specifically tell you the skills it gives, but it gives you a little bit. You always beat people up with a thick book, it's true. Early intelligence is not bad. We'll probably still level up intelligence, and in fact, we can use the extra intelligence point we got from student to get another point in persuade, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But soon everything changed, and you decide to strike out on your own as an adventurer. What made you take this decision was... a classic one is personal revenge, giving you additional strength. I did enjoy that a lot of my melee build. We could do loss, which improves our charisma and gives us additional health because we are toughened both emotionally and physically, apparently. Wanderlust, which gives us more agility and faster overworld speed. Forced Out gives us a mix of strength and intelligence and also gives us Weapon Master. And our Lust for Money and Power improves our agility, intelligence, and looting. So here's an open question. This is always a tough call for me I think early strength is useful because even if I don't attack with melee weapons, for people that may or may not know, there are stat requirements in order to use certain weapons and also to use certain armor. So I'm leaning towards forced out of your home because then without leveling it and focusing purely on book smart stuff, I could still go through and get some upgrades. Although I'm not gonna lie, Lust for Money and Power is not a bad one. I do love how it sounds. It does give us looting, which is fun. I'm not gonna lie, it is fun and it is useful in the early game. Looting kind of falls off pretty much around the time you can assemble an army. Weapon Master is okay. It's okay. I don't think it's a skill mandatory to beat the game, but it makes getting better at weapons easier. So it's just a quality of life thing. We'll choose being forced out of your home. Only you know exactly what caused you to give up your old life and become an adventurer. However, you know you cannot go back. There's nothing to go back to. Whatever home you may have had is gone now, and you must face that fact that you're out in the wide, wide world, alone, to sink or swim. Well, that's not quite true. We have Twitch chat with us. Become an adventurer and ride to your destiny. So you get one last chance to go fix your character. Let's go see what our stats are. So we started with 8 strength. This is super sweet. And 9 intelligence. This is super good. So this 8 strength is 1 point higher than one of the other characters that I made. I seem to be a little dumber than my other character. I'm assuming there's some differences between picking a male and female character, since I chose very similar things on my own playthrough and saw different stats here. But we're going to allow me to quit without saving. I don't like this option because there are some very jank events that can occur that will just ruin a run, and I don't feel like having that happen while we stream it today. Let's not do that one. Now enter your name and distribute your attribute and skill points. You can click on various elements on the screen to learn how they affect you. So chat, here's what's really funny. You don't actually have to name your character. You would think in a character creation screen, you would be forced to type in a name. We could just leave it blank. I don't know why you can. I feel like that's an oversight, to be honest with you, but you definitely can just leave this blank. Just gonna point that out for those that are curious. In fact, we're gonna enter that last just to kind of prove a point that we could leave it blank. So what we're gonna do... Okay, so let's go through the skills. We'll go left to right to not confuse the people that are watching potentially for the first time. So we're going to start in the bottom left with attributes. It reads, every point adds +1 hit point. The following skill cannot be developed beyond 1/3 of your strength. Iron Flesh, which is 8 + 2 HP per point. Power Strike, which is 8% to melee swings. Power Throw, Power Draw, doing similar things for throwing weapons and ranged attacks respectively. I see I already have Power Draw, which is interesting. I don't know where I picked that up, but that's fine. We have Agility, which is normally capped based off of... which normally raises things like our shield speed, weapon master, athletics, riding, horse archery, and looting. But funny enough, we have 3 points in riding, so we broke the rule here, and we could get access to some pretty good horses. I would prefer riding 4, but riding 3 is just as good. I basically just don't want to be riding 1. I think that's just too weak. So I guess we'll go to what each of the skills does. We'll hover them one by one, but the things I'm interested in here is just literally riding. However, we managed to pick a character in such a way that there's actually nothing I really want in agility. I could raise looting up to get more items if I really wanted to. I don't really want to. Now we have intelligence. I'm going to tell you why I think this is one of the most broken stats in the game. We're going to read the description first. Oh, I forgot to read it for agility. Each point gives 5 weapon points and slightly increases movement speed, so it's okay. Intelligence. Every point of intelligence immediately gives you an extra skill point. The following skills cannot be developed by 1/3. Look at this list of skills that are based on intelligence. Trainer, which you haven't seen yet, passively grants XP to your army and is bonkers stupid broken, or foot soldiers. Tracking, which is useful in some quests, otherwise ignorable. Tactics, absolutely abusive. It basically lets me decide how many people are fighting me. Pathfinding is movement in this game, so I have a movement skill in intelligence. I find that very questionable. Spotting. I'm also not entirely sure why that's under intelligence, but that helps you avoid enemy armies or find things, which is a very common thing in this game. Inventory management, absolutely wonderful. Wound treatment, Surgery, First Aid, aka I think 3 of the most broken skills in the game. Then they have Engineering, and the skill that I think makes absolutely no sense. Why is Persuasion an Intelligence skill and not a Charisma skill? Can anybody in chat even theorize what they were thinking? You have one specifically about your personal force and allure. How is that not Charisma? It's like putting Diplomacy in Intelligence. I just don't agree with those kinds of things. Helps identify good hiding spots, basically. So, yeah, for some reason, you could just get Persuasion from Intelligence. I don't get it. I feel like they gave the short end of the stick to Charisma, because Charisma only currently gives you Prisoner Management, which I guess kind of makes sense. Leadership makes sense. Trade makes sense. But then they only have 3 skills, and everybody else has more than that. So I feel like Charisma is probably one of the worst skills in the game. It's one of those ones I will basically not touch, because I just don't care about it. I kind of care about Prisoner Management, but that's about it. Like, that, I would literally get it for Prisoner Management, that's it. So anyway, we're gonna activate our... You get access to good arguments, convince the idiots. Yeah, but that would be Charisma, because you have to sell it. I don't think that should be an Intelligence skill. So anyway, we're gonna oops all Intelligence, and now I have 13 skill points. So we're gonna go through them one by one. Iron Flesh, increase health by 2. We're absolutely not taking that. Power Strike, improves damage by 8. We talked about that before. 10% for throwing weapons, 14 for bow. Spoilers, I will not be touching these skills. Weapon Mastery is already at 2. That's okay. I would have preferred Weapon Mastery 3, probably, but I don't feel like spending 3 points in Agility, so... Oops. Right, chat? Oops. I don't feel like doing that. We could improve our ability to use shields with shield. Athletics is our running speed, which would be great to raise, but we're not raising it. Now, interestingly, we started with horse archery and riding, so that'll be useful. We could do some hit and run tactics later, chat. Looting increases the amount of loot we attain from battle, which is pretty good. I actually want to get trainer fairly early. I'm going to tell you why. Even though there's XP gain from battle and quests and things like that, your protagonist will end up at such a high level, he's probably the only character appropriate to give trainer to. So he can potentially slowly level your companions, which is a mechanic we haven't seen yet, and your foot soldiers. So I'm not going to go too crazy in this yet. I'm going to put 1 point in it to get started, and we'll move on. So we have tracks become more informative, so we can figure out maybe where people are running. So when we have good spotting skills and we see tracks, we can figure out what is specifically moving where, which I think is a cool mechanic. I don't think I'll be taking that at the moment, though. We have tactics here, pathfinding, spotting, inventory management. I'm just gonna put a couple points in inventory management. I run out of space all the time. Now we have the most important skills in the game: wound treatment max, surgery max, first aid max. I'm sorry, chat. It will not go any other way. So let's explain why I chose these 3 skills in particular. So every point in wound treatment means I heal 20% faster. I heal 80% faster now that I have this. Surgery. There's a 4% chance that whenever somebody dies, they no longer die. This saves me a ton of money and backtracking. Absolutely wonderful skill. Then we have first aid. So it says heroes regain 5% of skill level hit points lost during mission. So what this means is essentially, whenever you see a tactics screen in this game, and I'll mention when we do see it, I just heal those health after each mission. So if I'm in a siege, that has a part where I raid the walls, then I go in the castle, and then I go into the town and I go into the castle proper, I heal every single one of those phases due to first aid, which is bonkers. It is bonkers, and we're absolutely taking it. Engineering allows us to build siege equipment faster and improve our fiefs, aka the villages of this game, more efficiently. This is more a skill I'd rather have somebody else get. Persuasion is a personal skill. I'd like to get a couple points in this once we're done with the big bads. We need to get a point in prisoner management, I think, next level. Essentially, this will allow us to capture people. If we do, like, bludgeoning damage, like clubs, for example, we can just take them and sell them. We're probably going to be doing that a lot. But right now, I don't need it since we just started the game. We have 1 point in leadership, which improves my party morale and reduces wages. Both morale is probably more important than the wage cost. I don't really care about our troop size. We're level 1. It doesn't matter. Trade reduces how much they rob us at the shops. Again, I don't really care. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. It started me with archery, but did it give me a crossbow? If it did not start me with a crossbow, I'm going to be so sad. So preemptively, I have power draw. I'm going to assume it gave me a bow, and we're going to pump our early range weapons. Obviously, I have not raised my strength. I've not given myself any melee skills, so I don't think these melee choices make a lot of sense. As you'll also find out, yeah, see that? I clicked the name for enter here. You all saw it. And it lets me hit done. I feel like that's a really big oversight. I should be forced to put a name in here. I didn't hit space. I just left clicked and it was like, that's a name. So what do you think, Calvisham? What should we call our book smart, possibly murderous character? So I'm going to be leveling a combination of archery and crossbow throughout the game. We will gain other proficiencies the hard way, but I want our sniping to be decent. Medieval HR is literal human resources, pretty much. We'll give Calvisham a moment to think about it. I think I called, when I was playing a female character, I called her Bad Girl, somewhat of reference to No More Heroes, but I also was using that opportunity to be an absolute evil person to see what that was like. So I got to see what it's like trying to be an honorable knight in this society versus being a total prick that burns down villages because it's funny. So I got to see two different sides of the coin. We're going to be doing a mix of both. I'm probably going to lean evil in this session. I will do some good things if I don't think the reward for evil is good enough. So we'll call it smart evil. We don't just do bad things unless the payoff is good. Like, we gotta go there. Sir burns a lot? Sure. That's a good name, Calvisham. Now, if you do change your mind on the name, or as you're about to see our character appearance, which normally goes up here, we can change it at any point. So don't worry. If you were like, darn, I wish I had done this, great. You don't need to restart your character. You can just redo it. Tutorial. Adjust your character's face using the buttons and sliders. Rotate, click on it, and drag the mouse. I would just like to state, this mouse sensitivity is not correct. I would just like to say, it's not good enough. Uh-oh. I saw somebody use Fireball, but I didn't hear Fireball. Did chat hear Fireball? Let me know if it's just an issue with the scene. But oh yeah, look at that spin. How nauseating. Again, my mouse sensitivity is like at neutral. It did not. Okay, maybe it's just broken. I blame stream elements, chat. My bad. I guess I was a liar at the beginning of the stream. Anyway, much like when I play these games, I just rapid click a lot until I find one that is like vaguely passable. That one's kind of interesting, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like the shaggy appearance. Like, we've seen stuff. So, also one thing I don't understand with this, why is hair color a slider, and why does it only go between two colors? No, I don't think I really understand the slider mechanism in this game, chat. Like, I mean, I guess we'll go for... I guess this feels like a Sir Burns a lot. Again, we have all these other things. I'm not gonna touch them. I'm not big into that kind of thing. This is good enough for me. So we'll hit done. Hear about Caladria, a land torn between rival kingdoms battling each other for supremacy, a haven for knights and mercenaries, cutthroats, and adventurers, all willing to risk their lives in pursuit of fortune, power, or glory. In this land which holds great dangers and even greater opportunities, you believe you may leave your past behind and start a new life. You feel that finally you hold the key of your destiny in your hands, free to choose as you will, and that, whatever course you take, great adventures will await you. Drawn by stories you hear about Caladria... I can't talk today. I'll call it Cal. The Great Cal Kingdom. Hair color is supposed to be clean to dirty. I mean, kind of, maybe. I just... It would explain why it's only two colors. You hear about the Cal Kingdom. Or excuse me, the land of Cal. Bisham. and its kingdoms. You join a caravan to Praven, kingdom of Swadia. Join a caravan to Ravedin, the kingdom of the Vagars. Vagars? Chad, I don't know how to say any of these names. I'm gonna butcher it. Join a caravan to Tulga and the Hirjit on it. Supposed to just con. Take a ship to Sargoth in the kingdom of the Nords. Take a ship to Jelkala in the kingdom of the Rodoks. Or join a caravan to Sharez in the Saraned Sultanate. So that's a lot of choices for people that have not seen the game before, so I will try to break it down. So the Kingdom of Swadia is roughly in the middle of the map. They have a mix of okay units. I think they have decently armored knights as an example of their like quote-unquote unique unit. We have the Kingdom of the Viziers. Maybe that's how you're supposed to say it, which is more of like the snowy area. The only thing our army does is charge, something like that. So I see them a lot with big two-handed weapons, and that they're okay. They're not my favorite. We got the Kherjit Khanate, which I believe is the Steppe Raiders, aka the people on horseback. So they have a lot of annoying cavalry and not really great other units. They don't have a lot of good foot soldiers. We have the Kingdom of the Nords, which you could think of as basically just the Viking Kingdom, because they love going in with axes, they love two-handed weapons, and they are tanky. I don't think they have a lot of great horse options, so they're kind of the opposite of the Khanate in that sense. We could go to the Rodoks, which I think is where we're going to go. This kingdom in particular, I feel, is the evil kingdom. I feel like whenever I'm talking to them, all they want to do is start wars with other people in a way that benefits them. So they won't actively like declare war, but they'll do a lot of underhanded things to get people to declare war on them and then punish them for doing it. This is just kind of the evil jerk kingdom. One thing I will state though is that this unit's specialty seems to be crossbows, and I'm not gonna lie, the crossbow's really good. Oh, I think Swadia might have good archers, maybe. I think each of them has like one stronger unit type than the others. Then you have the Sultanate, which has more slow, heavy horses versus some of the faster ones of the Khanate. And essentially, they are in the middle of a desert. So they don't necessarily have the heaviest of armors, except on some of their horses. So some of their foot soldiers are a bit questionable, and they love to do a lot of cavalry charges. So I think we're going to go with the Jerk Kingdom. I've experienced all of them at this point. I think so far Jerk Kingdom is my favorite. These guys are just absolute deplorable people. I love it, chat. You come by ship skirting the cliffs where the Rodok Highlands meet the sea. Much of the coastline was obscured by tendrils of fog that snaked down the river valleys, but occasionally you caught sight of a castle watchtower rising above the mists. And on one occasion, a beacon fire burning to warn of an enemy warband. You knew that you were relatively safe at sea, as you were too far south to risk encountering the Sea Raiders who trouble the coast of the Nordic lands. Oh, yeah, by the way, the Sea Raiders are no joke, chat. If you want to die an early death, we'll go to it eventually, maybe in this session, but all the way to the south, or maybe north. I guess it depends on how you look at the map. There is the Nordic people that borderline the sea, and these Sea Raiders are no joke. I think some of these fights are harder than actually fighting other armies. So don't mess with the Sea Raiders early. Take them very seriously. Pretend they're enemy armies, because they're ridiculous. But it was still a relief to reach the Silver Estuary, gateway to the port of Jelkala, and see a Rodok galley riding at anchor, its pennants fluttering in the evening breeze. You're exhausted by the time you find the inn in Jelkala and fall asleep quickly. However, you wake before dawn and are eager to explore your surroundings. You venture out into the streets, which are deserted. All of a sudden, you hear a sound that stands the hairs of your neck on end, the rasp of a blade sliding from its scabbard. So this is the plot to introduce us to the game. Oh, it did give us the crossbow. It lied to me. We took power draw, but it got crossbow. That's fine. We'll train up the crossbow slowly. So essentially what's supposed to be happening here is combat. Hope you learned combat. We're going to left click. Depending on what direction I'm hitting, we could do one of two things. I can thrust or I can slash. But we're just going to go ahead and murder him. So this foolish person's tried fighting me. We have our first kill. Look at him. He's tired. So now an NPC will come running towards us. He is your only guide for new players to learn more about the game. Hello, Merchant of Jelkala. Are you all right? Well, I guess you're alive at any rate. Not sure that we could say the same for the other fellow. That's one less thief to trouble our streets at night. Although heaven knows he won't be the last. Anyway, maybe you can help me with something. Let's talk more inside. Out here, we don't know who's listening. Merchant takes you to his house. Once inside, he stands by the door for a while checking the street. And then finally, convinced you have not been followed, comes near you to speak. Let's walk forward. I'm going to hit the action button, which I think is F by default, but I don't have default controls. Now, let me explain my proposition. You've always had brigands... Brigades? Never know how to say that word. In the hills, driven to banditry by war, debt, or love of violence. I love all those things. Recently, however, they've been getting bolder, leaving the camps in the wild, venturing into town looking for unwary prey. The watch commander tells us it's because of all the fighting on the frontiers. Fewer men to keep an eye on the streets. But I'm not sure what to make of that. It seems to me that the most logical explanation is that these bandits have an ally inside the walls, help them enter unnoticed and helps them identify particularly tempting targets. Last week, you see, they took my brother. Dun dun dun. I don't know what my brother was thinking. A lad from a prominent house, out alone after dark in times like these. Well, I suppose you were too. But you're a stranger here and didn't know how bad things have become. He had no such excuse. But he's family, so what can you do? If you don't protect your kin, the people will start thinking that you can't protect your investments either. And I can't have that. No doubt the gang will send word about a ransom, but I don't care to pay it. So here's my proposition. Look like you've had a bit of experience with the blade. We literally didn't do anything with it. And more importantly, you must have a bit of fire in your belly, or you wouldn't be coming to Clark. I'm just gonna call it Cal. You didn't come to Cal seeking your fortune. Here's what I'm asking you to do. Gather a small party. Track down these bandits to their lair. Teach them a lesson they won't forget. And get my brother back safe. Excuse me. That's a lot going on there. Return, you'll earn my lasting gratitude and a bit of silver. What do you say? So you could deny the tutorial. It has no time limit. So you probably should just say yes, even if you don't do it. Change your mind later. You won't be able to do this by yourself. If you try and take on the whole gang single-handedly, the hunter will become the hunted. Chat, I would like to immediately disprove his statement, by the way. I'm going to save the game, and we're going to try to solo one of these fights and see how it goes. I feel like spiting him. Also, I can apparently click to view notes. Oh, oops. It said click to view notes, but I did that and it advanced the dialogue. So the game is a little janky, chat. I'm just going to say it shouldn't tell me to click to view notes, and then that also advanced the dialogue. I'm just saying it's not perfect. But essentially, he told us that here's 100 in cash. This cash will be used to get recruits. Once you have 5 men, come back to me. So that's essentially what he assigned to us. Good. You could find me again in the tavern here in Del Cal after you get your group. Then we'll speak about what to do next. The spoilers, we're not going to be doing this for a while. It says you can press Q at any time to look at your logbook. So if you can see in my notes, I see what we have to do here. It tells us where he last was. We can see when we got the quest, who gave it. We can also see that there are a million tabs. There are so many tabs. So if you get lost and you don't know what they're talking about with characters, a lot of the game will have the names in blue of locations as well as names of characters. And it will give you a little bit of an introduction about the characters. So I just chose one at random. You see she's a vassal of a character who, if I want to learn about the king, I could do that. Who's of the kingdom of the Viziers, who we didn't select. We have no renown with them. We have no controversy with them. She has no land. She's 49, and we can see her family. So we'll leave it there. Also, if you, for whatever reason, missed something in the recent messages, you could go here, which I find useful. There's also explanations about who owns every single kingdom, whether or not it's rich or poor. I will not be using most of this. I'm just showcasing that, for example, if you go in the Factions tab, you can see all of the kingdoms and vassals for that particular place. So if you are looking for something, you could do it that way. However, I played a little bit of it. Okay, so here's a absolutely garbage scenario. It put a... I've never seen this happen before. It put us in front of deserters with crossbows, which are arguably one of the harder fights of the game, immediately at the start of the game. I'm gonna do a safety save. Oh good, it did not overwrite an existing save. I did not trust it. So if this patrol catches me, this is kind of game over. Oh, they moved away from me. I was going to say, that felt really unfair to be that close. Game giving us some foreshadowing of future gameplay. Yeah, 5 man indeed. You're now viewing the overland map, plus left, whatever. You can hit space to stop moving and pause time. So if I don't click anywhere, for example, it stops time. So fortunately, it gave me a grace period. That was all sorts of nonsense. So if I hit P for the party menu, I can see active skills. When we start getting multiple characters in our, it says company, but basically our army that have skills, whoever has the highest bonuses will be put on the left. So for example, if 2 people have first aid, but I have the highest, my name will be here. And if other people have an additional bonus to it, they'll give a fraction of their bonus to the main skill. So right now I have first aid, surgery, and wound treatment +1, which is absolutely bonkers. We also have a book we could read, which is interesting. So what I'm going to do to select it, we're going to take an action, select a book to read, the Art of Fighting with Swords. Start reading on the Art of Fighting with Swords. After a few pages, you can learn on the left of the book. Decide to keep it close by when you have the time. Okay, so now whenever I pause the game or hit the camp menu, so I can hit C for the camp menu or click it in the bottom left, I will just naturally read through the book and learn a skill. So that is the benefit of starting as the student. Let's look at what else we have. We started with a crossbow, some bolts, rusty sword. The bolts recover after every battle, so don't worry. If you shot 29 times, you don't have to buy 29 new bolts at the town. We can see we have interesting choices for armor. Not good. So I don't really want to fight deserters as our first group, but I'm curious about something. Oh, is that the king? Did we casually find the king? Oh, here's the king of the land. Normally the tutorial wants us to do things before we go to the king. But no, let's just casually introduce ourselves. I am King Gravith, ruler of the kingdom that you're in, and the Lord of Jalkala, aka the place we started from. You may be of common birth, aka we didn't pick the noble starting background, but know that I'm always looking for good men to fight for me, and if they prove themselves to be worthy of my trust. So one of the things we should be doing constantly whenever we find people is, do you have any tasks? Need you to send a letter to Count Telblar, currently in Elmera Castle. You'll be heading towards there. Would you deliver it to him? It needs to be done in 30 days. Okay. So we'll do this. We have some leniency with it. We're given cash at the start, so we're given another 30, but whether or not we do the task, he still paid us. Sorry for pausing to save. I really, 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 really do not trust our speed. Okay, we start with 8.9, excuse me, due to having high riding score. So, ooh, okay, so there's a lot to explain. Let's fight the looters first.
What's this then, eh?
So there's 8 of them and 1 of me. Let's see how I do. But anyway, essentially, the overworld speed is determined by a few things, like your inventory size, the weight of things in there, in particular, like trade goods, or if you have extra horses. The size of your army, whether or not they have horses makes a difference. And essentially, we have good riding skill, which improves both the movement you see here in combat, as well as in the overworld. Now, what we're going to be doing is taking little cheap shots at them, because we do not feel like dealing with them. Ooh. So we're going to do some hit and run. Hello, Chris. So we're in an interesting battle of just us. Sadly, their rocks do damage to us, so these are actually our biggest threat. So I'm circling them, looking for my opportunity to strike. So it'll rate the shot difficulty, so it got a 1.6. That's pretty low on the scale. But once we kill them, I think we're good. Oh, did you run out of rocks? Is that why you're charging me? That's a shame, because I'm not out of bolts. So normally crossbow has a kind of long reload time and it forces you to stand still. So there's a mechanic, chat. They ran out of ammo. What a shame. If only they had more shots, maybe they would have a shot. Right, chat? Oh, what an unfortunate circumstance they find themselves in. So remember when that guy said you couldn't just go out and kill people on your own? What a liar. Clearly he just needed a horse. So one thing about the horse that makes it extremely good, as you can see, the hit and run of it is absolutely bonkers broken. But it allows you to move and reload. Normally the crossbow requires you to stand still. You might see it if I ever dismount in this session. But it is kind of annoying because, one, obviously you're not able to dodge and weave if other projectiles are coming towards you. It's a kind of hard commit. But yeah, we're proving we don't really need anybody at the moment. It's just looters. Obviously, if they have a... Oh, are you running from combat? Did I demoralize you? Are you fleeing combat, good sir? Okay, you came back when I got close. You tried to bait me. He got me. So if their morale gets low enough, as in they lose enough troops, they will try to flee combat. And I can choose to let them go. Spoilers, I probably won't. Oh, he baited me out there, but I maneuvered the horse with high riding skill. So I'm using WASD for movement, just for clarity to the chat, while aiming with the left mouse, but I was gonna say, aiming with the mouse and shooting with the left mouse button. Oh, that was a headshot. Max damage, chat. Oh, I feel like he's trying to flee. I don't think we can have that, chat. We need that XP. Alright, got a nice little sword kill. Yeah, that's fine. Worst combat can be kind of awkward, because obviously you need to slice downwards, but not slice too quickly. So the weapon speed will change depending on your weapon and whether you have proficiencies. You can see early on, without leveling anything, it's a little awkward. But we did manage to get him eventually. Anyway, the game says we shouldn't be able to do that, but the game lied. I'd just like to state to you, chat, the game lied. So we actually captured an enemy here. So if I had taken prisoner management, I could have actually held him hostage and sold him for money. So we're potentially losing money because I did not do that, but we should do it next time. So anyway, chat, we have our sad 7 to body armor, 2 leg armor, and yeah, now we just got 25. So we take the difference of that is, what is that, 18? Yeah, we take 18 less damage if we're stabbed. And then look at this. We have one of my favorite weapons in the game. Oh, no. That's not this one. This one's also nice, but not quite. Butcher knife is a favorite. I love this thing. It's so fast. Later on, we'll be using better weapons, but early on, I'll take whatever I can get. So, your chat has probably heard me if they've seen me play this game off stream, because I have played this before in private servers. I like to go clubbing a lot. So I always tell people in the chat, I'm going clubbing. So the reason you want to do clubbing over some of these other options is not because the damage is good, or the reach is good, or the speed is good. It's mostly just so you can take hostages, because if you bludgeon them, they don't die, which is important to know. You can kind of figure that out on your own, but that is really important to know. So if you want to start selling people with the prisoner management and or potentially stealing lords more easily, you need a bludgeoning weapon at some point. But we're really early in the game, so I don't think it matters. So to no one's surprise, we leveled. We're going to take a point in prisoner management, so that never happens again. So technically, I could level up crossbow, but I think I'm going to keep pumping archery for the future. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to level intelligence next, and with that, I get to decide what to put a point in. That's a tough call. So essentially what I would like to do, if we could get companions, is I need people that are basically like super smart war geniuses, and then the big dummy thick warriors. So I need people that are really good at skills. I do not need to be good at any melee. I can compensate by just being good at the game. Right, chat? I'm like, we're good enough. I might get another point in persuasion early. I don't need it right now. So I did notice that when I put persuasion around 4, just so chat is aware, I do feel like it's solved a lot of arguments. So what can happen is if your army doesn't like one another, they might come and tell you their grievances. And I feel like after a certain number, after I got to like 4 or so, they stopped doing it. It was just a quality of life for me. I could raise inventory management, but that's just getting greedy. We need to start raising things that matter. I don't have anybody to level, so trainer doesn't matter at the moment. Tactics is another good one for us to get. Let's put a point in tactics. So basically what'll happen is if I have 100 troops and they have 100 troops, and the game has Sir Burns a lot indeed, and the game has a limit of how many troops can be on screen at any given time. So I think by default it's 71. It needs to split those numbers based off our troop size. However, tactics says, no. You have more troops than you really do. So it just helps you outnumber the enemy, and it makes the game a lot easier. So we're going to save again. Okay, so what do we want to do? I mostly just wanted to do that to show you that, no, you don't need an army. Just get good. We also have a ton of equipment if I hit I that we could give to potential new party members. So, for example, most party members do not come with helmets, and that gives us 4 extra defense to our head. That's 14 looters. That feels a little greedy. Chat, do I greed 14 looters? Do I have inventory? I have inventory for 14 looters. I have to, you know what? We'll greed for it. It's fine. We save the game. We'll be fine. just us versus the... See, we only have a battle advantage of -12. We'll be fine. Also, the less troops you have, the more renown you get for beating the battle. Renown is a useful mechanic to getting access to certain areas, like visiting castles when there's a lot of important people there, or generally doing some options later in the game. Like, they don't want a nobody helping them on certain things. Yeah, this is the absolute greed option. Well, that was a nice shot, and it improved our proficiency. So gradually, the more I use the crossbow, the more accurate it'll be. You can see that whenever I move with the horse, the targeting reticle gets really large. That's because we don't have a lot in horse archery. But... missed a shot. I can't afford to miss many of those. Hard to miss that one, though. So, at some point, that cursor will basically not grow at all. I feel like around 105, 110, it feels more like an actual, like, a third-person shooter, where it is really, really accurate to where you click it. And it could go higher. In fact, I think it could get up to 900. But I feel like once it starts getting close to 100, you could legitimately do some crazy trick shots fairly consistently. Like, for example, they're really far away, so gravity will affect the shot. Oh, he hit me with something. It'll affect the shot, so I have to aim above their head by quite a bit to compensate, for example. Or I could just let them get close and shoot them. Not quite a headshot, I was close. Right, chat? This is very fair. Listen. I mean, they outnumber me. Oh, I missed a shot. So if we do miss a shot, I can find the ammo on the battlefield, which I think is a cool mechanic. Or if they have a weapon that I like, I can actually just pick it up and use it against them. In the meantime, we're just gonna gut shot them. I mean, I have a lot of ammo. They only have so many people. I've noticed, for the most part, they stopped throwing rocks, so that tells me they've run out of rocks. So their only means of damaging me is basically gone. Did I hit my own horse? What happened there? It was weird. Do some more basic damage there. Our horse has a health bar in the bottom right. Our health bar is above it. There we go. See that? We're just getting more efficient. And also, the higher proficiency, the better our damage. I'm not quite sure the ratio. But essentially, killing their friends only makes us stronger. That was a headshot. Did 85 damage compared to 26. So you can see, I'm just going to cheese them for a little bit. Just... crossbow and horse are a match made in heaven, chat. If these people do not have horses, that's not my problem. Maybe they should have looted horses. They are looters. Yeah, we're just gonna get some casual XP. When you run out of rocks? That's a good question. One the game will not answer. But you might see occasionally I walk over something that says bolt or it says one-handed weapon. It's probably from them, or me if I miss the bolt shot. So we're getting a little low on bolts, which is a bit concerning. So I can't afford to miss too many more of these. That's a lot of people to potentially fight. I'm gonna aim a little more carefully here. There we go. I could probably win against 2 people in melee, even though I didn't level it at all. Because we do have a shield, which makes it easy. Oh, are they fleeing from me? No, don't fire your shot. Reload. So the bottom right, it has a little indicator. There we go. Level the proficiency. I think they were fleeing. I think they are fleeing, which I'm somewhat okay with, honestly. I'm low on ammo. Look at this. They're like, how do we defeat them? So if they reach the edge of the map, they will disappear. So we're gonna help them disappear, but not in the way they're hoping for. You can see they're not even fighting me anymore. They're in full panic mode. Oh, he can ascend the mountain too well, Chad. He wins. He wins. Reload. I might be able to get another kill here. Come on, reload. Come on, reload. There we go. So we want to make sure to get kills, because that goes towards our XP. I think they left the map, though. They just ascended upwards. They're like, my people need me. I can't climb the horse. Or not can't climb the horse. I can't climb the mountain with the horse at that angle. So it says battles 1. I'll take the game's word for it. So 3 retreated. And, yeah. Just by the way, chat. Oh, hey, look. We got leg armor. Nice. So now they slice for less damage. So it'll give a little music cue whenever a victory does occur in case you don't see the victory, because if you demoralize them enough, they just give up. And as chat could see, they straight up gave up. Like, they're just like, there's no hope. He's a god gamer. It's all over. What do I do? Holy, we have so much things to sell. Hey, chat, you know what the funny thing is, chat? We can use these rocks. I could give our allies rocks to pelt at the enemy. So now we're at 364 money. I'm going to hit escape. We got 108 money from that. Now, I think these were the enemies that... I beg you, please leave us alone. Oh, no. I've never caught a retreating unit before. Do you think you could run away from me? You'll be my prisoner or die. Oh, chat, I love the dialogue in this game. Haven't you got any mercy? Okay, we'll fight you to the last man. Charge the enemy. Oh, man. I could have gotten a club. The smart thing to do would have been to pause, switch items, get a club, and club each of these people so I can sell them for money. Because, you know, I'm a very good person. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't think the sound effects are working. I'm not really sure why. I'll take a look later, just not right now. I want to at least get to a point where I'll naturally take a break. I mean, they're trying. You give them that. They're trying. It won't help them. This horse is too good, chat. They should not have let me start with the horse. Oh, I let him get close to give him hope. That was mean of me. It was absolutely mean of me. Oh, he's dead. You hit me with a rock and did 0 damage. Sorry, I have armor now. Rocks don't hurt me as much, if at all. Don't mind me, I'm just gonna zoom in slightly. Just get you right in the chest. Because, you know, I'm very merciful. See, I could get his club. I could have picked up his friend's club and clubbed the other people to death with the club to send a message. So anyway, our inventory is almost full. So as you can see, chat, I was happy that we got more inventory space. Also, chat, I think we started with around 200 in money. It'll go plus or minus depending on, you know, what backgrounds you take. But we leveled again. We're level 3 because we just don't share the experience with anybody. And let's just become smarter. So now let's get first aid since we're by ourselves, and probably surgery for the future. And again, we'll just keep leveling archery, so when we go to use it, it's fairly accurate. So you can see there's 2 different ways we can kind of improve our proficiencies. I mean, we didn't even touch crossbow, and it's at 64, so I think we're doing good there. So our health is not going to go up by very much. I think it might go up 1 per level by default, and I think you get 1 additional follower per level. Sorry about save spamming. Let's at least go here, and then maybe I will take a very small break to see if I can restore the bot. Ooh. Chat, we already have a crossbow upgrade? Oh, you spoil me. Right, chat? Oh, no. Don't give me more accuracy. No, that's monstrous. Okay, we'll keep a couple of our +6 hats, because those are actual upgrades. The 14 boots are actually an upgrade for me. I didn't see those. I'll keep the stones because it's funny. Not that I think it's efficient. So you can see in the bottom left, there's a money total, a money total in the bottom right. Essentially, they have a limit to how much you can sell them. Unfortunately, if there is a command to fast sell items, I do not know it. Right-clicking does not sell the item, and that makes me so sad, because you should just be able to just spam click, to be honest with you. As I said before, this game is kind of janky, kind of old. I wish it had a couple passes for quality of life things. I will keep a club. You never know when we need to go clubbing, chat. I will get rid of our old armor. I will keep a falchion, because that's actually a decent weapon. Butchering knife with the shield is good. Butchering knife by itself is terrible. Get rid of all these things. So I don't think I need any of these. Well, I could just have the club squad, technically. I'll hold another squad for... Hold another club for later. We'll hold 2 helmets, boots with good armor, and earn another 86. So one thing that we should be doing... So let's talk about the point of the game. So, taverns are one of the biggest points of interest. They are available in castles and larger towns. The little fiefdoms or villages do not have a tavern. So the reason you want to go to a tavern is you can see that there's people in here. And you're like, duh, of course there'd be people at a tavern. But what I mean by that is that there are special recruits. So you see that guy dead in front of me? I'll zoom in because I think we might get a cutscene. He is a potential companion that we can recruit. So let's talk about the differences between village recruits and companions. Companions are found in taverns. Recruits are usually found in villages, or if you rescue them from prisons, yada yada, you can get them that way. But the thing about companions, Chad, companions cannot die. They can fall in battle, but they are not permanently dead. So they make excellent face tanks because they will just keep coming back for more. So we need some face tanks, chat. Okay, so we're gonna go over here. I think we might get cutscened. There's sometimes an NPC known as the belligerent drunk, and he will try to fight me. With the wandering minstrel, we'll talk to him briefly. He's basically saying he composes songs. You can collect different poems and songs throughout the game. I will not be doing that, but it's an option. There will sometimes be somebody known as the ransom broker. So if we had prisoners, we could sell them here. He's probably a mercenary of some sort. He's a watchman, so we could buy his support if we talk to him. And we'll talk to this guy who may or may not be the belligerent drunk. I'm not sure. Oh no, it's the merchant of Jalkala. Never mind. Okay, no belligerent drunk here. So we have Bunduk here. Greetings there, brother. Here's to doom and downfall of all high-born lords and ladies. We can ask him, why do you say that, sir? It's a long story, but if you get yourself drunk, I'll be glad to tell it. As sergeant I was in the garrison here at Jalkala, I'm not sure why there's 2 spaces there. 20 years I stood guard for the city, taking many a hard knock and many a tough fight, until they appointed a snot-nosed, downy-lipped princeling, barely out of his mother's cradle as the commander of the garrison. He came upon me standing watch atop the tower, with my crossbow unstrung, on a mount of the rain, you see. Can't have the cord loosened. The little Prince Snotnose tells me that an unstrung bow is dereliction of duty. Says he'll have me horsewhipped. And something in me snapped, so I walked off my post. Now I'm here getting drunk, and the devil take tomorrow. So we can say, no doubt you'll wake up with your head at a noose and you'll deserve it. Good day. What a statement. What a statement. Calvisham is indeed here. If you're looking for work, I can use experienced fighters. Let's do this one. Are you now? Well, that's a sight better than swinging from a gibbet for desertion. Or gibbet, I think it is. You won't regret taking me on, brother. I'm a deadeye with a crossbow. Uh-oh, chat. Chat, not another crossbower. A beautiful weapon. It can right punch through the nobleman's armor and spill his blue blood upon the ground. I've trained more raw recruits than you've had hot dinners, begging your pardon. I don't toady to the highborn. So I can say, on second thought, we value discipline pretty highly in your company. Good day to you. We're a good man. We'll treat you with the respect you deserve. We'll choose that option. That's good news. Well, that's for one thing, Captain. I have a woman here in Jalkala, a tavern wench. She says she has my child in her belly. I'm gonna give her some money before I leave. For the child, you know. You think you could spare 200? So some people do not require money to recruit. Some do. This guy does. We'll pay it. I mean, we got like, what, 400 in like 2 seconds? That's fine. Good. Give me a few moments to prepare and I'll be ready to move. So now if I hit the party menu, you can see... Oh, we can't do it in here. You can see one of many things. One, you can classify them into a group. So basically, when you want to command different units, you could put them in one. I personally don't like that it's infantry, archers, cavalry. I wish it was cavalry, infantry, archers, to be honest with you. Because I feel like when I'm trying to rapid command to different groups, I don't like that there is always something in between what I wanted to do. So I'm not a big fan of the default placement, I will state. It's not a game breaker, I just thought I'd mention it. But anyway, we can't see his skills because we can't talk to him while we're in the tavern. but we'll try later. Technically, I could talk to this guy. He's waiting for us to get 4 more people, but he'll be waiting for a while, chat, so get wrecked. Now, one thing you want to do whenever possible is you want to go to the castle. So if there are any lords in the castle itself, you'll see their name at the top of the castle. You could speak to them. So let's go ahead and talk to Arwa, the Pearled One. So she's an example of not quite a normal lord. So we'll say we're at your service. Just think, I am Arwa, whom they call the Pearled One, mother of the Sarenids and their rightful queen. And so we're basically getting into some politics. So let me explain something high level before we go into what they're talking about here. So essentially, there was one king in each of the, 5 or 6 kingdoms that we were introduced to. Now, for each of these kingdoms, there's somebody else claiming to be the rightful heir. So, you as a player can choose to cause chaos by promoting this non-recognized ruler, and this will create another faction in the game, which you could support, or you could purposely screw them over and laugh at them. you just did it for reasons. And essentially, one will eventually prevail. You could talk to the original people to see who you feel should be in charge. And it's all personal choice. Obviously, if you don't help these people get a faction in the first place, they will never be an army to deal with. But if you feel one side is getting too powerful, it could be interesting to stir problems in other kingdoms by doing this. So let's read a little bit more about her story. I was born in a faraway land to a humble family, made a slave when I was but a girl. But there's no shame in that, for the mothers of many of our kings were slaves. The old sultan, Azar, spotted me in the markets and was struck by my beauty. I entered his household. There he also learned to respect my intelligence. As he grew older, he allowed me to govern in his stead. First I managed the affairs of the palace, and later those of the realm. When the sultan died, it seemed to the emirs of the realm only natural that I should succeed him as ruler, thus avoiding any danger of civil war. They insisted, however, that I should marry one of his generals, the Emir Baybak. The emirs then lined up to give us the oath of allegiance together, to Baybak as commander of the armies, to me, mother of the realm. The brief time that we ruled, our realm prospered. But alas, Baybak himself was soon killed in a skirmish with the Herjets. I had known of his death in time, I would have been able to prepare myself against any possibility of betrayal. But alas, my husband's treacherous nephew, Hakim, came riding with his men, still covered with the dust of the battlefield, drove me from the palace at sword point, proclaimed himself sultan. So be it. I shall gather an army of my own and return him the favor. Let's not do that yet. We're gonna leave that as an option. Sorry, I'm gonna pause a lot throughout the game. This is a habit. You could go to the arena. Currently, there are no tournaments happening. If there was, it would say join tournament at the top. The arena is just a way to raise combat skills. I don't really like it that much. I probably will not show it off. We also have like no points in melee, and we get potentially random weapons. Basically, a recipe for disaster for us. So what we're gonna do, we need to make sure we have food. So we're gonna get a little bit of different food here and buy some cheese. And what I'm gonna do, we're gonna go into the party menu for the first time. We're gonna look at Bundik, and we're gonna ask him about his equipment. So we're gonna steal Bundik's armor. Just, as you do. And he starts with a pretty powerful crossbow and a pickaxe. Oh, I forgot to get the other crossbow. My bad. We'll go back in the shop for it. He doesn't have a horse. Let's take a look at his skills by asking about his skills. So it seems like he has a mix of Iron Flesh, Power Strike. He has 2 points in Trainer, so he can help train other people. And his proficiency is overall pretty solid. So he would be what I consider more of a face tank character. He's a character I don't necessarily want to level intelligence in order to get additional things. But it is interesting to note he already has Trainer and Tactics. So ideally what I would do with him, I'd probably put him 1 point in agility so he could get 3 in riding, for inevitably we will get another horse. And that will make him a mounted sniper. I'll probably give him a point in horse archery. And sadly for crossbow, there's no real skill to level it. So I'll probably continue to give him Power Strike, which it doesn't matter if it's a one-handed or two-handed weapon, it just does more damage. So that'll probably be our plan with him. He will not be our skill monkey. I think I've heard the phrase used a couple times. But now we have another body. And he's a crossbowman. Now you might have also noticed, we'll pause. So because he doesn't have a horse, our movement speed went from 8 to 7.6. So at some point, we need to potentially give him something, but 7 is very quick. I will state if you start dipping below 5.3, most people will either be on par with you or slightly slower. If you start dipping below 4.8, you're in big trouble. You can run from no encounters, essentially. Let's try to go into the castle. I'm just going to click rapidly to see if anybody's home. Okay, so nobody's home except for... looks like a lady here. Let's talk to the lady. Says, you don't look familiar. We'll introduce ourselves. Sir Burnsley, do not believe I've heard of you before. Well, I hope not, because you're in front of a fireplace, and we teach you the hard way how we got our name. So the ladies you could potentially marry if you want to. You can talk with them to get improvement with the lord that they may or may not be already married to. However, one of the most useful features, if you come in the castle, is you can ask them where anybody else is in the kingdom, and as long as you don't have the kingdom mad at you, they'll tell you where they are. So remember the king we talked to? Let's say we had to complete his quest. It says traveling to Voluka and should be close to Shaeza at the moment. So this just lets us find all the NPCs. So castles are a great way to learn where things are, and I highly, highly, highly recommend you do so. So even if there's no lord, quote-unquote, there, it doesn't count the ladies. So sometimes there will still be people there. There is, however, the count of the place, Count Tarsius. Do I know you? We're going to say my name is... well, we're not going to say at your service. We don't know if we're going to befriend them or not. I am Count Tarsius, a vassal of the Kingdom of Rhodox and leader of the castle. Normally I cut the throats of impudent commoners who barge into my presence uninvited, but I'm in a good mood today. What a pleasant character, chat. What a good guy. Clearly we should support this kingdom. Do you have any tasks for me? Do something you can help with an issue with the lawless villain known as Raychard of Shapest. He murdered one of my men and has been on the run from judgment ever since. I can't let him get away with avoiding justice. I put a 300 bounty on his head. Friends of the murdered man reckon this assassin might have taken refuge at Shaeza. Okay. Might be able to hunt him down and give him what he deserves and claim the bounty yourself. So, let's talk about drawbacks and benefits. So, doing this quest, 300 gold, reputation. If we get enough reputation with the character, they go from indifferent to liking us. And so we can start asking them for favors, yada yada. However, there's a drawback. Going into the town and killing somebody on behest of a lord will make the town mad at you. So their services will not be as good. So we would have to do something to counterbalance the loss with the village, if we cared. There are a lot of villages in the game. We could just say, let them deal with it. We killed a commoner. It just happens. So that's one thing we have to be aware of. And one additional thing, we can also refuse to claim the money itself. So we could do an honorable thing by refusing money because we are only doing it because we believed it is just. And it will go towards our lawfulness or unlawfulness. The more lawful we are, the more certain people like us. The more unlawful we are, the more the evil people like us. And also potentially the bandits stop attacking us and see us as one of their own if we're that evil. Also, people might try to arrest us if we're too evil. We'll see how it goes, though. We'll say we'll execute for now. So just accepting the quest, we improve the relationship by 1. So we got some time to fulfill his request. Why don't we try to go to Talbur? So this guy says he's in Talbur and Almera Castle. What we could do... why don't we go to Talbur? Talbur at Almera Castle. What I'm going to do, I'm going to ask the lady to see if he's out and about. Because just because the quest said he was there, doesn't mean he's actually there. Okay, so he hasn't moved from the castle. So some people will go on daily patrols. So for example, they might own the territory of Jelkala, so they could be found between Burven, Rudi, Ibdelis Castle, for example. They might be doing a little triangle formation. So talking to these people can be very useful. So they are at a castle of some sort. Let's zoom out. I'm moving around with Wazd. I already forgot what castle they said. Shalez. Need for something else. Almera for that. Shaeza. Shaeza is above us. Almera is way out there. Okay, let's go way out there. Again, if something is foolish... oh, hold on, chat. Something's foolish enough to fight us.
What's this then, eh?
So we're gonna go fight him. Let's tell our companion to hold the ground. In fact, where are the enemies relative to us? Go take a look. So we can have him hang back and hang pretty safe. Actually, let's make him come over here. Let's hold the hill. I think that's the right call. So we'll let him stay up on this hill while we snipe. His life is fair. So he'll eventually come this way. He has his own XP meter, so if we give him some kills, like by purposely luring stupid looters towards you, he might be able to get some kills. Level up. I hear him shooting already. Also, I forgot to get the other crossbow, so that makes me a bit sad. Where did our companion go? Or did he not make it up the hill yet? Might not have made it up the hill yet. That's fine. They're hitting me with rocks for very low damage. Nice. Oh, that was a nasty headshot. Like how it did 0 damage to us because we stole our companion's armor. Oh, there's our companion. He's having a wonderful little fight over here. I'll probably assist him. He's having like this epic death match against the rocks. Wow, they homed in on him for sure. I mean, he's holding his own. I think he's okay for now. He'll eventually be in trouble. They're hitting our horse, which is kind of annoying. Oh, look, he killed somebody. Good job. You did it, Bundik. Oh, Bundik sniped him, chat. What a sniper. Oh, oops, I'm still reloading. It's fine, we got time. Bundik has killed another person. Bundik officially is going on a killing spree, chat. Nice. So the more proficiency we get now, the easier a future battle will be. So we're gonna do some little hit and run nonsense. I think he got knocked unconscious. No, he didn't. Never mind. I'm a liar. So you'll see color text in the bottom left. White is damage I'm dealing. Gray is just like rating my shot. Blue means a kill has occurred. Yellow/orange means that somebody's been wounded on my team. Red means that they've died. Now, he can't die, as I said before. Don't need to worry too much. Oh, yes, the honorable thing of shooting a looter in the back as they try to retreat. Truly, I am the best character. We're going to tell our person to charge. Oh, oops. It's the shot. I gotta get used to the horseback riding at low proficiencies. It's still a little awkward. I shot him, but he teleported. I even saw the bolt. In my defense, I didn't miss the shot. I didn't miss the shot. We gained 1 renown, and we gained party morale because we won a battle. So anyway. So we're doing well, chat. We have our own money-making system. It's called Kill Stupid Looters. Right, chat? Like, got him. Checkmate. So we could take a look at him. He's somewhat injured because he's not as good as we are. He's not going to dodge as much. I notice he only has a pickaxe, which is kind of mediocre damage. If he's going to be swinging with the pickaxe, why don't you swing with the club? You just go clubbing. Let's give him a fancy little hat. You know what, chat? We'll even give him rocks. Is it good to do? No. Is it funny? Yes. Okay, so what we should do before I go too much further. Let's go back to Jelkala and try to get a new crossbow. So who knows? Maybe, oh, the deserters scare me because those are potentially elite troops. Essentially, if somebody loses in a battle between 2 armies, they become the deserters, from what I understand. And those could be very high-level people. So they could have, like, heavy crossbows and all sorts of nasty things I don't want to deal with. Siege crossbow would be really fun, but it requires 10 strength and can't use it on the horse. Are there any other crossbows I could potentially use other than this one? I don't think so. So we're gonna splurge a little because it's a 2 damage upgrade, and I'm going to say why not. We can also potentially buy ammo here, but I don't see any. Oh, there's one, but it's -2 damage. Yeah, let's not do that. We'll get rid of this. We don't need this. We have to pay money, allegedly, but we're just gonna go ahead and do this, chat. So we basically got a small damage increase. So if I don't land the headshots, the damage alone should be good enough. I love how he's paying for stones. What an economy, chat. Can you imagine walking up to somebody and you're like, you know what? I got 30 stones. Will that suffice for food today? And someone actually says yes. What a crazy world we live in. No wonder why the peasants are mad. Look at the BS they deal with, chat. So I'm going to hold off on recruiting anybody. But before we do that, why don't we actually go into a village? I've talked about them. We were told to recruit. Let's go there during the daytime, though. Oh, we got training. So I'm a higher level than our companion, so I actually just gave him experience. So again, just passive gain. We're going to camp to make time go faster. Gonna wait here for some time. I'm going to do it during the daytime so we can see people. So there's a simple recruit button. So if I click it, it'll give me options based off my relationship with them, which you can see in parentheses is 0. It'll give me new things. Now I'm gonna ignore this. This is just description about how the town is doing. It's unremarkable. It's not poor though, so it tells me that at least it's doing okay-ish. So nobody's raided them recently. I could choose to go to the village center, which does one of two things. One, you can actually see the village, so I think it's kind of cool. The people wandering around might tell you some rumors or things like that. However, in every town, there is a man who refuses to move. That man is an important person to talk to. He's the village elder. So one thing the game doesn't really tell you, and I found this kind of annoying as a new player, there is an option to buy cattle here. This is the only place where you could buy cattle. I don't know why you can't buy cattle in the other menu. You should be able to. It doesn't let you do it though. So this menu lets you buy food, for example, if you need it. Or if you want to get trading goods, you could get the trading goods. I can ask them if they got any recruits. Basically, if you want to treat it less as like a game of menus and you want to live the experience, by all means, you could go town to town and have that kind of fun. So even when you're in like castles and stuff, well, not castles, when you're in towns and such, you can also choose to walk around the town itself to the different merchants, if you're into that kind of thing. Me personally, I just want efficiency. However, he has a thing where, do you have any tasks I can help you with? Now, chat, the quest he will give you is random. I will be very salty if he mentions cattle. I will be very, very salty if he mentions cattle. That is my least favorite quest. It is very expensive at this point in the game. Or I would have to go raid people before I've had a chance to declare war, decide what I want to do with it. So do not talk to me about heads of cattle, or I'm going to be very mad at you. I hate you so much. 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 To give you an idea, chat, of why I don't like this quest. First of all, the cattle... Okay. To give you an idea of why this is stupid, why don't we say we're going to buy a cattle? He wants 171 per cattle. Think about that, chat. Think about where we are. He wanted 5+. We could lose all of our money to stupid cattle. So, yeah, definitely forget it. Stupid idiot. This is why we don't love you. This is why I'm going to burn your village later, Chalez. You're bringing up the cattle. You couldn't make me train peasants. You couldn't ask me to help me with bandits. That was like a fun kill quest where we could get experience and do other things. It just had to be the cattle.